Space news, because sometimes you just don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Hells yeah. Space news. Okay, so space news. Kevin, what you got for me?
Well, quite a lot has actually happened over this past week. We had 2 orbiters enter into orbit around Mars.
One from India. One from India.
What was that?
One from...
and one from NASA. So NASA's is called Mavin. It's built to explore the upper atmosphere of Mars, basically. The entire goal of the mission is to try and figure out how and why Mars loses its atmosphere. Because it's fairly commonly believed that when Mars originally formed, it actually had a much thicker atmosphere with much more than just, carbon dioxide.
Right. Something, well, not as much, obviously, atmosphere as Earth had, right? But,
right.
At least more.
But still much more.
Yes.
And so the entire goal is to find out, okay, is the solar wind really kind of blasting it off of Mars?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any reactions from that we can measure? And so it has a bunch of fancy things that it can use to do that.
A lot of filters, a lot of cameras that look at, the surface of Mars and have these filters on it, so we can see different types of radiation and stuff from different elements and things like that.
Right. And then India's Mars orbiter, Mangalyaan, which translates to Mars Vehicle, and in the West has been called the Mars Orbiter Mission, or MOM, is built with primarily a simple mission, but still an important one. Telescopes on Earth have detected methane in the signature of light that we get from Mars, but rovers like Curiosity have detected none of it. So it's probably going to be somewhere high up in the atmosphere.
Right.
Yet again, it's investigating the atmosphere of Mars and trying to figure out exactly what is happening over there, because there's still quite a bit that we don't know, what's going on.
I mean, that's fair. It is another planet. I mean, we have all this crap that's been either floating around Mars or on the surface of Mars. I mean, we still have only, pardon the pun, scratched the surface of what this planet actually is. So, right. I mean, it's very nice that we have 2 fresh new orbiters, which is interesting that they went. I mean, was it planned to have them both go at the exact same time?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
The agencies didn't talk to each other to schedule it, but in order to get a probe to another planet, there are certain angles
that makes sense
that the planets form that form an optimal path. So the absolute cheapest that you can get a probe from one to the other. It's usually actually a longer path than a straight line. They actually curve in orbit around the sun, and then
slingshot out,
and then kind of go out and then arrive at Mars.
Right.
So they take a bit longer than a straight line would, but it's a cheap path. And so these alignments happen every 1.5 to 2 years, I think, 1.5-ish. So they want to, since they were part of the same generation of orbiters, they would launch near the same time.
Which makes sense. So that actually helps me remind you that if you're looking to sign up to go to Mars, your next window is about 1.5 to 2 years from now.
I'm sure we can look up actual numbers one day.
No, it's going to be 1.5 to 2 years from now. So get your application in right now if you want to be one of the first people on Mars. You crazy person. I'm kidding. Maybe. Would you go to Mars? We had this discussion already. But would you?
I'd go if it was capable of a return trip. If I could go to a Mars space station in orbit, if we had a single module up there.
Hell yeah, I'd go to a Mars space station if I could come back. Hell yeah.
Because that's easy.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to have a manned exploration of Mars without touching the surface.
Yeah. And then things go to hell, just like they always do in Mission to Mars and Ghosts of Mars and Red Planet or whatever those movies are.
And Doctor Who.
And just Mars is a bad place to go if you're a human. That's all I've learned. Just don't go there if you're a human. Martians, perfect for you. Because you're born there, probably. Us, not so much.
So some developments with the International Space Station. Just today, actually, a new group of 3 astronauts lifted off from Kazakhstan. One was the first female cosmonaut in 17 years to go up, so that's important. And they're also using the express lane orbit that only takes 18 hours instead of 3 days.
That's nice.
Or what is it? Actually, 6 hours. It's really short, maybe like 6 hours.
Wow.
They were able to figure out, like a few years ago, how to make the most efficient, like, number of orbits with, like, the timing of the launch and where the station is. So instead of spending days to get there, it only takes a few hours.
It's faster than me going home, Kevin.
If it's like 6 hours.
Yes, that's crazy. That's not fair.
And then, now, during this whole Ukraine crisis, one Russian minister has talked about how, they're going to cut off funding for the ISS, or Russia just isn't going to cooperate with everyone else.
That's when we came up with the giant trampoline idea.
Yes. Now, recently, Russian, budget papers are basically showing them putting $8 billion into ISS upkeep and development out to 2025. So it just seems to be this one minister is just angry all the time, and the space agency is just going ahead, and the rest of the government understands the ISS is too important to let go to waste.
This is another common thing that we've seen where one guy is misinformed in a company or a government, and unfortunately he's the guy with the microphone, and that's where everyone gets into trouble. So governments, companies, make sure everyone is informed, and, otherwise, do not be afraid to use duct tape. Liberally apply
just to fix that problem.
Right here. Liberally apply to the mouth, and problem solved. I mean, you could fire them, but we're just going with the cheaper and, less painful route here. So that's your space news, right?
Yep, space news.
You have been updated on what's going around our planet and nearby planets. If you'd like to hear more space news, Kevin always has more space news on his Tumblr. You should follow that. It's administratorcoach.
Please follow it.
Tumblr.com. Also, there will be links here about where you can find us around the web. They're usually right here. And thank you for liking and commenting this video below. And I already almost forgot my sign-off, but I didn't, Kevin. We'll see you out there. So thank you for watching our videos. We love doing them, and we love that you watch them. If you want to watch more, there are links down here. There's other videos right here. And please hit the subscribe button, because that helps us know that you want to keep watching. Thanks.